It's James Steinhubel on TVU with the Dance Fusion Show with your host, Marianne Kuebler, and this week our guest, Johnathan Morin, co-artistic director and producer of Rhythm and Sound. How you doing, Marianne?
I'm great, thank you. It's a nice, cold, snowy day here.
It is, right? It is. And you are on this wonderful journey now of bringing forward alumni.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do for the next, I think, couple months probably. We'll have a different alumni on every week just to introduce the community to people that have passed through our doors, and wherever they've gone, everybody's taken a different direction, but it's interesting all the same, right?
And this week we've got Johnathan Morin. He is a leading force in Canadian tap dance today. Hailing from Edmonton, Alberta, the 29-year-old professional tap dancer is making a name for himself across the country and around the world. And he is the co-artistic director and producer of the dance company called Rhythm and Sound. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I got to update that bio. I'm 29 now.
How old are you?
I'm good.
That is fantastically impressive. And that is like but one line that I could read many. Now, I want to take you on a real, comprehensive interview and, talk about where you are now and where you're going to go in the future and where you've come from. But what really struck me is and we'll just briefly touch on it. I got a couple questions. The Georgia on Your Mind video, very powerful.
Yeah. What would you like to know about it?
Oh, I was just waiting for you to just offer it up. I thought you were ready.
Okay. That clip actually was one of my better performances in the last, let's say, I don't know, 10 years. I have maybe a handful, maybe 2 or 3 that are very memorable. That one was one of the birthdays. I can't remember which birthday it was. I feel like it was like my 25th or 26th, whichever year that one was. It was on my birthday, and I remember because my birthday kind of falls like the day before National Tap Dance Day. A lot of the times the tap dance festivities in the city kind of match up with my birthday. So we ended up having a tap festivities. I like to say it was my birthday festivities, but it wasn't. It was the tap dance festivities at the Rex. It was the jazz club in Toronto. And I remember I walked in and they were like, "Hey, you're next." And I was like, "Oh my God, okay, sure, sounds good." And it was my birthday, so I was kind of just running around everywhere, and I was kind of like, I was everywhere. My brain was everywhere. I walked in, they're like, "You're next." I was like, "Okay, sounds good." And I didn't really have any time to think about really anything. It was like walk in, order a beer, drink. It was my birthday, so I was enjoying myself. I was thirsty. I put my shoes on and I walked up, and then it was a band. I technically had never played with the band before, but there was key members of the band that I had a rapport with, or that I played with. So the drummer, I played with him a lot. His name's Morgan Childs, and he's an incredible. He's just an incredible drummer that listens really well. So playing with him is really easy. And then one of the piano player, Amanda Tosoff, I play with her as well. So yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. That's actually Barbara Vargas' favorite song, who was one of the very important people in my life that helped me become the man I am today. One of my tap dance teachers. But I just feel like saying tap dance teacher is just kind of it's not really enough to wrap up that she did.
It's very powerful.
Yeah, so that was her turn. That's one of my favorite tunes to dance to, and it's just a beautiful melody, and it's one of my favorite songs to play on piano, one of my favorite songs to sing. It's just that's my song. That's my song. So
it's so powerful. What we're going to do at the end of the show, we're going to play that whole segment in the show. Okay. It's so good. So here you are now. What are you? You're living in Toronto. And what's the busting big news in the tap dance revolution?
Toronto right now, just in general, Ontario, we're all just kind of the whole country. We're all kind of waiting around and seeing when this vaccine is gonna come and trying to just stay afloat. I'm not gonna you know, paint a rosy picture because it's not rosy over here. But we're learning how to, you know, move forward, and we're improvising in ways that we can continue to move the dance forward and myself forward. You know, it's really important that through all of this, I somehow come out as at least the same person, at least the same person. It's tough. It's really tough. Like the hardest part about this pandemic or the lockdowns and stuff is because I live in an apartment. So both me and my girlfriend, we're not really able to practice in the way that we want to practice. And even like teaching right now, like this is a super sneak peek into our personal life right now, but we're dealing with noise complaints because we have to teach in the apartment, and we've already talked to the building like manager, like the property manager and stuff, and they understand our situation. Like we need to pay the bills, right? And it's like I don't want to have to teach in my apartment. It's the last place I want to have to teach, but this is what you have to do. And we're still getting, you know, notes from people in our building and like our neighbors and stuff. So it's tough to be able to be a tap dancer right now, in the sense of putting on my tap shoes and like dancing for pleasure instead of like today. I teach today for 2-3 hours, and I'll have to tiptoe, no pun intended, I'll have to tiptoe around my board and try to dance in a way that's not so heavy. Maybe I should just go on a diet, but you know, not so heavy, not so loud, you know, and you know, Marianne knows I'm not a quiet dancer naturally, you know what I mean? I've gotten better at it. But just naturally, tap dance isn't a quiet, it's not a quiet dance form. So just trying to navigate that right now. To be honest, like a lot of our company stuff for our tap dance company, it's kind of put on hold right now, just because we don't know when we can perform and we can get in a studio and rehearse, when we can really do anything. It's so up in the air. So
I have.
Go ahead.
I have a question, Johnathan. Here, they've said everybody needs to be working from home, but our teachers can come into the studio and be in a room if they're Zooming their classes, just because a lot of them, number one, don't have the space in their homes. And they're allowed to do that. Like I can't have other people in with them, but they can come in. And so we've installed big screen TVs and whatever to make it easier for them to teach from the studio. You don't have that option in Ontario?
I technically do. Like one of my studios is kind of a far ways away, and you know I don't drive, right? So
yeah.
I have to take a lot of public transportation. Like there's one studio that I teach, and it's just down the road. So it's like I just hop in the subway and I get off the subway and I walk there, and it's not too bad. And so the thing for me is that I know I'm in the right. I've talked to my property manager about it, and I know that all of the things that we're doing is within a time frame that we're allowed to be making noise in our apartment. So there is options for me to change my workplace, but there's also options for other people around me to also help. You know what I mean? And I understand like we're in a crappy situation.
I'm with you. We're here too.
Like I would never have to be in this situation, and I'd have to dance so much in my house if this was never a thing, and this was never a problem. Also, if people weren't home, but because everybody's home, everybody hears my tap dancing.
That's good. They're going to learn how to do it. They're going to have the rhythm in their head. Are they tapping in the? Do you see people when you look out the window? They're trying the routines, or no?
I'm trying to spread the gospel, but no one wants to listen. So I don't know.
Two things I want to talk about. And the first one is the quite a significant tour that you went on. The first tap dance tour in 35 years in BC. You were out on the road. This is significant. Tell us about that.
That was a crazy experience. Like for me, I learned a lot in every kind of aspect as a dancer, as a director. Even like I wasn't directing, but I had those goggles on while I was learning the whole thing. The show was put on by a tap dancer named Danny Nielsen, who hails from Calgary. So even though he's a Flames fan, we still like him, I guess. But he's super talented, very talented. And I've looked up to him for years. And yeah, so it was definitely an honor to be able to do this show. I got to do it with some of my best friends too, which was great. Literally my best friend, Ryan Foley. He was on the tour. The first year, Shay was on the tour, which was a trip because Shay was my first teacher. That's Marianne's son. That was you're just really trippy to work on an actual gig, and it was a cool vibe. And then yeah, it was a learning experience. I'll tell you that. Like there was highs and lows, and there's a lot of you end up getting 4 dudes traveling around in like a van, and then like there's also a band and stuff. Like it's just like there's a lot of things that can happen in a month when people are traveling, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like we put on a great show, and we had a great time, and myself, I grew a lot. I learned a lot how to be like a professional, what it meant to like put your head down and just go to work, and on top of that, like I grew as a dancer. Like that show was hard. It was so hard. It was so hard, and also that show was hard for me because I was put in a role of I was a main lead as an actor, and I don't act. Well, I shouldn't say I don't act. I don't have training. But it was a good opportunity for me to kind of break that mold and get a little bit more comfortable speaking on stage and playing in character and comedic timing, and because it wasn't really like it was a comedy show. It wasn't like a serious let's fall in love and all. Well, there was a love story, but it wasn't like the super heavy serious one. Like there was comedy strewn around all the whole thing.
You're awesome, man. You're awesome. It's the thing is that what we're getting a good insight in is you're literally connecting back to the dance part of it. And I wanted to make that bridge because look, the other one, the Toffan Rhythm Projects with the Toronto Symphony Orchestra. Like, come on, the Toronto Symphony Orchestra and Summer Festival. Now we're going to play that in the segment. So that I'm going to put that in now. And now. coming back. There it is, the Toffan Rhythm Projects with the Toronto Symphony Orchestra. Like you're literally the conductor, okay? And these guys are talented and smart, but
Yeah.
they start to mess with you too, though. You know, it was very and you're hitting it. Tell us about that. Tell us about the setting. You know, it's so
fun.
cool, man.
It's super fun. Anytime I get to work with live musicians, because that's kind of you know, the reason and the rhyme about why we end up doing all this. You know, all this time and all this investment breaks down to, you know, my wanting to play music. That's really why I ended up being who I am as a tap dancer. So this project was curated by my good friend Alison Toffan, and she asked me to play with the jazz orchestra, and it was super easy for me. Like, it was like, you know, she's like, "Do you want to do a gig? You just got to do like a solo with the band." And I had previously worked with Josh before, maybe not worked with, but like I had conversed and talked and had a relationship with the lead conductor of the orchestra. So working with him was easy. And of course, like, the musicians are all top notch in the city. Like, they're all top notch musicians. So the one thing about those situations is being able to be confident in my ability and what I have to offer the band. And it's easy when you're working with people that are hip. Yeah. So when I say that, I mean, like, they're educated and they're used to playing with tap dancers. And it shouldn't be a thing, because it's just like playing with a musician. But some musicians aren't used to it, or they're not, again, the best word to say is they're not hip. So I'll walk in sometimes into a jazz jam and I'll be like, "Hey, like, let's play." And then sometimes they'll be like, "Sure, what tune?" And we talk just normally, you know? And then other times it's like, "Huh?" You know, and that's where I have to be able to assert myself. You know, be like, "Let's just play a tune," you know, and I'll speak their language, and then usually they're like, "Oh, okay."
But there's a couple spots in the summer festival, that piece that we just watched, where you fall into a zone that you're hitting it. Now, you know, what's the process? Like, it's a higher level consciousness, or it's floating. Like, where do you go when you're hitting it?
I mean, there's definitely, like, the one thing that I have been trying and I will continue to try, and it's a lifelong journey, is to figure out how to harness my brain, so that when I'm dancing, I'm focusing on the things I need to focus on. And this is like when I'm teaching improvisation, I'm teaching just tap dance in general and the creative process and stuff. And this is what I try to speak, and this is what I try to teach my students, is that you only have a certain allotment of energy or capacity for your brain to think or to be used. So all the things that you're thinking about need to be in a positive manner that are going to help you be successful. So thinking about what other people are going to think about you dancing has nothing to do with positive reinforcement or positive things about how you're going to move forward. That's just white noise. So to be able to figure out how to block certain thoughts and to really just be open and clear, that's the goal. Now, I'm not saying I'm able to do this all the time, but that's why I say, like, there's certain performances I distinctly remember, because I remember going into the zone, or whatever you want to call it. And that's what I'm trying to be able to do, is trying to lengthen that period of time, so that, because when I'm in that moment, that time, I don't have to think about anything that I'm doing. It all just kind of unfolds, and it's all very quick, and it's natural. And then when I leave that, then I actually have to start thinking about what I'm doing and how I'm putting all the things together. And so just trying to figure out how to find that, I don't know what you want to call it. It's like a third eye, or behind just, I don't know. It's just trying to come through it with a clear, concise thought process instead of having all these random things like, you know, what is this girl going to think about my shoes I'm wearing, or what is the musician going to think about the lick I just played, and oh, I just fell out of time, now everyone's going to think I suck, and like all those things. I can be thinking of other ways to be successful. So let's say I made a mistake. I say, how can I use what I just played to manipulate it into something interesting? And I don't even mention the fact that I made a mistake. There's no such thing as mistakes when I'm improvising. If you do it right, you just do it. So this is what I tell my students. I say, make the mistake and then make it again. And then make it one more time and then swing out of it. And you'll figure out how to make those mistakes in chunks that become, what's the word? They become something that you end up meaning to do, right? You take something that you made a mistake, and if you do it again with intention, then you're no longer making a mistake, you're making decisions, right? And that's only able to happen if you are able to say, forget about the mistakes that you did. So making mistakes, it's all good. You just have to learn how to, figure out how to move forward.
Well, it's, you know, the depth of thought and how you're able to, interpret and move forward, you know, in your own mind, see where you're at. You know,
this goes forward to my life, though. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like I made many mistakes. I've had to learn how to, like, that's the way I learn.
Exactly. And
it's not always, I'm not telling you that's the best way to learn, but that's the way that I have learned and the way that works for me. And so.
Oh, it's great awareness. But you grew up a Sherwood Park kid.
Yeah, I'm just a small town kid.
And you were like, well, not born at, you were like a hip hop kid.
Yeah, I remember, like, I was like, what was I? I think I was like 7 or 8. I waltzed in and like I ended up just watching a hip hop class. I remember the exact studio, like that, like the black and the gray, like floor tiles, and there was a wall. Like you walk in, there was a big wall of window, and then like it was a pretty long studio. Yeah. And anyways, I watched that. I sat in the corner, I watched that class through like the whole class. And basically my foster mom at the time, she was just trying to figure out what the heck to do with me because I had way too much energy. And I was just like bouncing off the walls, listening to Backstreet Boys downstairs with the cassette tape. Just like, you know, I needed to do something. So she threw me in the dance, the dance studio. And I started doing hip hop. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be like, you know, the hip hop extraordinaire, but it didn't end up working that way. And I'm thankful that Marianne put me in other dance forms because I never would have had the opportunity to be a tap dancer, period, if she wasn't like, yo, try this. I remember the first tap dance she taught us, it was to Jam by Michael Jackson. And we were wearing bright yellow shirts with like black, like shiny, pleathery, like jacket and like the hat, and we were getting our Michael Jackson on. And our first step was, I remember this step, we're doing this. It was like flat to your heel. It's like flat to your heel, flat to your heel, flat to your heel. Step other way now, flat to your heel, flat to your heel, flat to your heel. Step. I remember it. Well, that's all I remember, but.
That is awesome. That is fantastic. What a dynamite show. What a dynamite show. Thank you so much, Johnathan. And Marianne, we usually do more update stuff. Are you happy with what we laid down here? That was something.
Well, it's going to be a great show. And Johnathan,
I'm ready, man. I'm coming to TO, and it's the truth. And that's first on the Dance Fusion Show on the Culture Channel. And today we've had Johnathan Morin, co-artistic director and producer of Rhythm and Sound. It's an honor, sir. And of course, our artistic director, Marianne Kuebler. So anyways, only on TVU. Thanks, you guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.